Hey everybody, and welcome to The Hole in the World, an actual play of the Invisible Sun RPG by Monty Cook Games. I am, as always, your GM, known as Zach, but also known as Great Samino. I use he, him pronouns, and I am once again joined by a fantastic cast of wonderful people. And going around in our usual order, let me go ahead and take the time to introduce them. Marcy, if you'd like to go ahead and get started.
Hey, it's me, Marcy, still, aka Experimental Madness, which is the name you can find me most places around the internet, except for Twitter, where I like to remain the resident cryptid, but in theory, you can find me under the username Marciful. And I'm back playing Gavriel Glinsky / Kazan, things are confusing, the ardent iconoclastic apostate who hosts a choir. And my god, is this one going to be a doozy? So excited.
Oh yes, I can't wait for this one. This is gonna be a lot going on. Next up, moving down the overlay, Bill, if you want to go ahead and give yourself your introduction.
If you insist. My name is Bill. You can find me on Discord. I'm Ghostbike on there, and I play Maurice Webb, a stalwart empath of the Order of Weavers who turns tales into reality. And I did not have to read that this time.
What? Oh my god, I'm so proud.
Level up.
Moving over to the next side of the overlay, Hopper, if you want to give your introduction.
Tis I, Hopper. I am here, and I am Hopper. I'm sorry about that. You can find me in, on, and around the interwebs if you like bad things under Fail Deadly. That is with a 3 instead of an E, so it looks like Fail Badly, or under the Legend Tree, where I occasionally post good shit. Allegedly good shit. And tonight I will be playing Okras, the iconoclastic garden apostate who heralds endings, and I think that's the first time I've done it without reading.
Awesome. God, well done, everybody. Marissa, bring us home.
We'll see if I can do it. Challenge accepted. Greetings, everyone. My name is Marissa, pronouns she, her, and I also go by Critical Kitten with various punctuation here and there on the internet. And I play Kiri von Hollingsworth, the first assistant librarian of the Order of the Vance. She is an Eremitic Stoic who understands the words, guardian of Zaleska's grimoire, curator of King Nine's library, legendary seeker of tulips, and forgotten fiancés.
Love it.
I think I did it.
Awesome. Well done, guys. I am just so proud. Anyhow, we have a lot to get into tonight, so I am going to go ahead and do something that I should have been doing from the beginning and haven't done until now, which is I'm going to read a recap. But first, let me put on... I know, nobody looked shocked all at once. Hold on. But before I do that, let me put on a little bit of our music. All right. So, when last we left our vislae, we are picking up where they have just arrived at the Silver Sun, following a jaunt on a sapient sunship to Moss, departing from Satyrine. After a brief encounter with a traveling name salesman called Zalin, the vislae arrived at the gate of the Silver Sun and promptly encountered a powerful entity, the Silver Sun Warden, Tharim, seated on a throne built of creative works and inventions. Tharim offered our vislae many things: requests for aid from Gavriel and Okras, warnings to both Kiri and Maurice, and entrance to the Silver Sun for all. Departing the liminal space of Tharim's throne room, the 4 vislae beheld some distance from the Silver Sun Gateway the twin wonders of the City on the Hill and Tuak Tur, the Silver Mountain. Using the power of her Seed of Truth, Gavriel inquired to the whereabouts of the irreverent Mott and her parents. But upon questioning the whereabouts of her parents, sifting through the Seed's information with the assistance of Maurice and Kiri, the vislae found themselves confronted telepathically by the unknowable angel, Shia Kazan's benefactor and protector. After some very emotionally charged discussion, Gavriel heard the voice of her mother in her head, promising to meet her in the City on the Hill. And that is where we are picking back up, guys. So let me change the music once again. So you guys overlook a glistening city of metal and glass, some distance away, probably no more than a mile distance walking, overlooking straight through the portal of this celestial gateway that you had found yourselves in. So my question is, following this conversation, what do all of you do?
I think, well, I'm just gonna jump on in there and think that Gav looks pretty shaken up. And just to clarify, it wasn't just me that heard that conversation. Kiri and Maurice were privy to it as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's because essentially they shared that burden of trying to help you sift through their information.
Yeah, Okras is the only one who did not hear that because they were outside of the spell, enabling it by forcing entropy into, what is it, current C?
Yeah, I think so.
The primary, what all of you guys tap into to use magic.
I will say this, that that probably helped a considerable deal with this endeavor as well. Even if you are outside, I think that you are probably focused and channeling this power to better assist your companions, unless I'm mistaken here. Okay. All right, so you guys are a mile away from this glistening Silver Sun city. What do you do?
So I think Maurice unclasps, his hands he was holding on to Gav and Kiri, and looks over to Okras and says, "What was it that Thurim asked you to do? The prize was an audience with Queen Frigeleva, was it not?"
Yes. We need to check on Thurim's sister, the guardian of the Golden Gate.
And Maurice just turns back and gives Gav an eye.
One note of clarification. I do not believe she is the guardian of the Golden Gate.
Oh, she is the... What is she though?
That's just the Rim's sister. That's all you know for now.
All right. We need to do a wellness check.
Okay.
For some reason, I thought she was the Golden Gate warden. Golden Sun warden.
Warden?
Words.
Warden.
Warden.
It would make sense, but alas no.
To do such a task, we would need to head back onto the sunship and go to the Golden Sun, no?
I guess the question is, does Queen Frigeleva know about this deal? Maybe knowing Shia is enough to get us in the door. We don't need there.
Be. If
I think we should try.
If Shia is saying that we need to go to her in order to have a safe place, in order to meet my family, I think that that implies that there is some nature of familiarity.
Look, the worst thing that can happen is that they turn us away and then we can't meet with Queen Frigeleva until whatever task we need to complete is completed. But
with all due respect, Kiri, I can think of a lot worse things that can happen.
Fair enough. But I still think we should try.
I think you're right.
I agree as well. As much as I would love to perhaps stall out with another task. What the fuck am I going to say?
Maurice says, well, we should get going, I guess, and kind of gives a little whistle and to Duncan and says, shall we?
Duncan very eagerly, happily woofs and kind of begins leading if nobody steps forward immediately.
You seem to be forgetting the cost.
What cost?
Our tickets were paid for.
I am assuming that if we are able to connect with the Pathwalkers, they might be able to supply us with another means of transportation back to Saturn. Perhaps I am wrong in this, in which case then we could always then do what Thrym has asked of us, which could also result in payment to get back to Saturn.
And
No?
also far from payment, if we're able to find another way to meet with the Queen, we could always fulfill Thrym's objective and see what leverage it gets us. I mean, I think the Guardian of the Silver Sun is probably a powerful friend to have.
As are the Pathwalkers.
Precisely. By the way, Okras, nice trick for not being a vislae.
Hmm?
You'll have to tell me what you are one of these days. And then Maurice turns and starts walking.
Okras just dead eyes the back of Maurice's head.
Okay.
I think as they're walking, like, Maurice heads on ahead and, like, Gav walks alongside Okras and goes, "Do you know what you are? Because I don't know what I am half the time either."
I have an understanding.
That's
Far away, you hear Maurice go, "Ooh, mysterious."
Can I PvP Maurice?
As you are thinking of,
Can I cast a cantrip to make Maurice's shoes become untied? Or no, worse. I want to pop one of the reeds in his suit.
Ooh, diabolical.
Okay.
Just one.
All
Just
right.
one.
Just one? All right. I will say with a with a cantrip, I'll say.
I'd like to use a tiny bit of entropy to make his suit suck. Just a tiny bit.
Yeah, I think.
Like not even noticeable?
Not even noticeable. Like you
Excellent.
don't know.
I love it.
You don't
Like
know
a big
it's
pick me sign on the back.
it's just kind of like, I think one of the reeds that's formed your suit just kind of goes bink.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. Yeah, I think completely unbeknownst to you, Maurice, one of those reeds pops up. All right. So
It's like your suit has a cowlick.
All right. Okay. So the suit of the Sanguine Lily, therefore, kind of augmented or weakened in this way. You guys begin moving down through this kind of low valley that leads off into the city on the hill. And as you are kind of beginning to move closer to it, what you are taking in as you get ever closer is a massive tower. And when I say massive, it's not vast in width and gigantic. It seems like a relatively narrow tower. Think like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, except it reaches up into the sky like a massive finger, and the very top of it completely invisible, basically obscured by these kind of very gently sifting, rolling silver clouds, basically kind of obscuring part of that silver sun. And as you kind of get closer and closer to the city, the more it seems to shine in your view. And not only that, what immediately catches your eye as you continue moving this remaining mile is you see a vast gate through which many pilgrims to the Silver Sun and other visitors are entering, kind of like moving through one channel, as it were.
Are the people here, is it just like in Indigo, like ratio of vislae to lacunae to Elderbryn?
You may make me a perception roll.
Okay. Is it all angels?
It's
Okay.
a shit ton of angels, like just eyeballs all over the place.
I mean,
Eyeballs and
just
chariot wheels all the way
absolutely
down.
lousy with angels. Perception, I will spend just no, I'm not gonna spend nothing.
Okay. Yeah, what was that?
Oh, no, that's a 0. Okay, well.
I think the thing that, like, I think you are completely kind of flabbergasted by this sight, Maurice, as you're taking it in, because you are familiar with the city streets of Satyrine. You are very familiar with kind of the world that you are aware of. But there's something about the beauty of this place that immediately grabs the attention. Just the sheer kind of scale of the tower in relation to the city, the shine of the city itself. And not only that, but I think your attention also turns to Tuak Dur, the silver mountain not very far away. Again, its peaks seem to reach up into the sky and disappear under cloud cover. You have no idea how high this reaches, but it is significantly taller than like anything you have seen in Satyrine.
I have a question. The Silver Tower, does this seem like, is this kind of like a tourist attraction sort of situation where people like can go up to the top of it if they pay a certain amount of money and like see sweeping views? Or is it clear that like this is something that's off limits and like nobody gets to go here without special permission?
You may give me another, I will tell you this, you may make a magical lore roll.
Cool, I get a point added to that. That's an 8 + 1, 9.
Okay, so the thing that is not anything so tawdry as a tourist trap or attraction. In many ways, this is a mecca. It is a place, a holy site. It is a Jerusalem. It is it is, you know, Westminster Abbey. It is a place of importance.
Toss them all in there. Keep going.
Yeah, exactly. Let's keep throwing them in. It is a place of power and holiness. And I think to that effect, you understand that many of the people that are trafficking are people that are on a pilgrimage of some sort, whether they are creators and creative people or angels themselves who come from all over the actuality to return home. And as you guys grow closer to the gate, does anybody have any other thing that they are doing before you kind of approach this major artery through which all of these people are entering?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, do I get a sense of direction from, again, the just absolute clown car of angels that live in my body? Do I have a sense of the city? Is this like a weird deja vu where I know the layout of the city in a weird way because somebody else knows the layout in my brain?
Well, let me ask you, are you asking them? Are you kind of like reaching out to them?
I think it's less asking and it's more at the speed of thought.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm going to turn a card and we're going to see how that goes. Let me go ahead and switch over. All right. I've turned a card. And this is the rat, the companion of mysteries, rats, mirrors, and stone. Survival, resistance, shadows, and concealment. Rats are masters of survival. They're hardy, smart, and stealthy. Some rats, of course, get very smart and devise whole new ways of prospering amid humans, literally right under their noses. A few rats learn to adopt human identities through disguise, concealment, and trickery. Humans as a group are notoriously easy to fool as long as you don't overtly threaten them, and rats have no need to do so.
If I die, I know what my next character is because I've never heard anything speak to me more.
Excellent. If one can keep a low profile, success is very likely. If a stronger force presents itself, resist, but do so cleverly and from the shadows, not openly. Sometimes survival is the best one can hope for, but that is the very thing that the rat card suggests. No matter what, the person in question will at least survive if they keep concealed. A terrible calamity or disaster occurs, but hardy survivors withstand it. A community is plagued by rats. A secretive resistance forms to combat a larger force, like a government. Something strange is going on with the shadows. The rat can be anywhere or anyone. You realize something as you are kind of like taking this sight in, which is I think that there is this kind of like exuberance that you feel as you kind of like reach out to the angels at the speed of thought, but something is trying to shove their knowledge away from you and trying to kind of like obscure things. Things, I think you realize that with some kind of trepidation, you realize that the force that is probably at work here is the worst half of your inside. Seems like somebody doesn't want you to know where to go next.
Interesting.
I think in that moment, Maurice is kind of just turns back and tries to get a read on Gav, how Gav's doing. Gav, are you walking like by yourself? Are you next to Okras?
No, I think I was still walking in step around near Okras. I'm certainly not distancing myself from the rest of you, especially now that I really have no idea where I'm going. Like, I think if I may take a liberty, I think it's even more than I'm just a stranger in a city I'm unfamiliar with. It's now like there's a deliberate mental roadblock where I feel like I'm looking at street signs and ostensibly where they go, and the second I look away from them, there is an object permanence issue.
Excellent.
Like there's just I cannot orient myself at all.
So between that and like, I think Maurice is also trying to get a read on like, is Gav's halo look different to him? That's what he's trying to
question,
gauge in a glance back to see how Gav's doing.
Give me another perception roll.
All right, we'll spend Benny on this one. Screw it. I'll spend 3 because I can do that. That's a 5.
Okay. With a 5, you see it's spinning at a much more rapid clip, and it's kind of like one of those gyroscopes. It's essentially kind of moving in many different directions, like vertically and kind of horizontally, and kind of spinning on a axis. And that indigo light at the center has been kind of like spent, so it's a little bit dim because you realize that she used whatever faculty was available to her to inquire as to the whereabouts of her parents. But the thing that strikes you is there is something like, it's something kind of like covering and kind of like winking this indigo light at the center of it, as if something's kind of roiling around it. And every time it kind of roils, it seems like the ring spins in the direction from which it's coming, as if to combat it. It seems like there's some sort of like conflict going on in there. It's very easy to tell.
I don't think she's aware of what the colors of the halo look like right now, unless she's just like looking down her shirt at the moment.
Yeah.
Does Gav like clock this, or is Gav like in her head? Like that Maurice is even looking backwards.
How intently are you
this is like
chest?
Not,
Hey,
this is like
eyes up here. Halo's
I'm
here. Eyes up here.
Halo eyes.
I think it's like a solid like beat or two. Just like how's Gav doing? Okay, and I think so. Yeah, does Gav clock this?
I think. Sorry, I'm pretty sure Gav clocks you looking over at her for sure.
Okay.
And she just gives you a very like quizzical look, being, what?
It looks like Maurice was thinking about saying something, and then he turns around and keeps walking ahead.
Okay. So basically what ends up happening is you continue to move closer, and all of you guys are kind of like moving towards the front of this line now. And the people around you, now that you are closer, you understand that there are a mix of every kind of people here. There are lacunae, there are Elderbrin, or ostensibly kind of shape-shifting creatures that move amongst these throngs, but easily the most the most prevalent people within this line making their way to the entrance of the city on the hill are angels. And angels, I mean, I don't think any of you have ever seen this wide a variety of them. Gavriel, very clearly, you have, like, I think, glimpsed in kind of your experience. I think all of you glimpsed some of them throughout the war report, kind of the understanding of, like, they come in many shapes and sizes, but many of them are moving like kind of normal bipedal organisms, some of them having just very kind of elaborate bird-like heads, many of them kind of like humanoid, with multiple sets of eyes, others with mouths that seem to smile on every kind of different direction. There are, of course, dozens upon dozens of wings, wings bedecked with eyes. You see one figure that seems to be just a pulsing globe of light that seems to be moving closer to the front of the line. It really truly is just this amazing mixture of creatures that move, and at the head of them, kind of presiding over who can kind of enter the city, is a 9-foot tall figure that seems to be kind of wearing this glimmering, beautiful silver set of armor. And I think as you get closer, you realize, not from far away, as you get closer, the figure is wider than it is tall. And in such kind of like 9 feet tall, that means that this armor is incredibly laboriously kind of put together and wide and massive. And you see this figure seemingly examining everybody who enters, and all of the people in front of you, they stop as if to be weighed, judged, and measured by this guardian. And any of you guys can make me an interaction roll at this point. The challenge is a little high, but tell me what you get.
Would here be a good place to use some of my hidden knowledge?
Let me see. Go ahead and use, please use a hidden knowledge. That would be great.
So that it just acts like a Bene in this situation.
Exactly. It's a one-time Benny.
Would you like to cash in on one of my 2 Vex in interaction right now, Zach?
Yes, let's do that. Thank you for telling me.
Mm-hmm.
Hear me, not great.
So we'll call it. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, you're good to go. Go ahead. I can wait.
I've spent 1 and lost 1 from the Vex, so that's a flat 9 for me.
Okay.
For
5.
Curie as well.
All right. I will tell you this. Anybody who has above like a 7 or 8, so in this case, Maurice, you're the only person that notices this, because I think you kind of recognize the emotion. The gateway guardian looks distracted. And it seems to barely kind of seem to look at anybody. This kind of silvery point of light that is serving as its eyes is just nodding people forward.
Okay, I think Maurice thumbs his Testament of Sun in his pocket, and you hear echoing in your heads. Actually, Okras doesn't hear this. He's not talking to Okras. He says to Kiri and Gav, "This thing looks distracted. Maybe we can use that to our advantage."
Sure. I don't even know what the implications are if it's looking right at us.
What would you propose?
Oh, I'm not the idea guy.
Oh, and I am.
So I think at this point you see like Maurice laughing at nothing, Okras.
My ideas usually are not the the less noticeable ones, but we need to get into the city, so we should just walk into the city. Our intentions are not bad in the city.
Works for me.
Okras does not see Maurice laughing at nothing, because Okras is checking the compass.
Okay. So as you check the compass, it does show you, well, here's the question. What do you want more than anything?
That's a fucking difficult question. That's a harder question than all the rest. I think I think the real answer to that is Okras wants to know what is happening to them, and they think that their heart is the method of finding that.
Okay, so your heart, I will say this. I think it seems to be interpreting. I will tell you what, let me roll let me go ahead and draw another card as I kind of tell you where that is. Okay. The sealed door. It augments silver and it weakens gold. Delay, inaction, barriers, and unchanging. The door holds more promise than a wall, but a sealed door is perhaps worse for the egress it suggests and then denies. The barrier prevents us from moving forward. It is delay, wasted time, a failed attempt. Still, a door with a keyhole suggests both the existence of a key and something valuable on the other side. Of course, the door in the family of secrets is sealed. It keeps the secret safe. The implication, of course, is that great discoveries lie on the other side, if you can only get there. Generally, a card of ill omen, the sealed door stands in the way of victory. It keeps one from a goal. Since progression always involves change, it can, however, simply mean that things don't change. And if one is in a good place when this card is turned, that can indicate that a pleasing situation will continue. An attempted action fails. A path is blocked. An NPC fails or takes no action. Nothing changes. Joy. The PC spell lasts longer than expected. An NPC that was going to leave does not. A barrier holds back an enemy. Despair. An important action fails. An enemy is better protected than expected. He wept at the barrier. It bested him as surely as any warrior. So I think that all signs to you point that this, with this compass, it seems to be pointing straight ahead, but there seems to be kind of like a slight bearing every once in a while. It seems to kind of like move along its second axis, and it seems to be pointing in a direction a little bit further afield, not back from where you came, but more actually to the southeast of your position. You are moving north currently, but if you were to move southeast, and as you kind of turn your head, you see that there is a long flowing silver river. It seems to cut through the landscape far off into the distance.
So that's what Okras doesn't is focusing on when you're laughing to yourself.
Okay. And finally, Kiri, because you did also get a 9, I don't think you pick up on the social kind of like concern or kind of like that interaction insight that Maurice does. But I think what you do gather is that the Guardian has is essentially kind of continuing to turn its attention towards a spot adjacent to it, as if it's expecting something there.
Interesting. I think Kiri will point this out to Gav and to Maurice in their sort of mind chat, and kind of speculate. I wonder if we avoid that spot, if we don't, if it can't see us, maybe, or it is only expecting the person being reviewed for entry to stand there. It's a hypothesis, but it might be one way to try to get in.
Let's see if anybody else skips that spot.
And as you guys are kind of like watching and moving forward, all of you guys, I'd like you to make a perception roll. As you cut closer and closer to the front of the line, and finally you kind of are almost within kind of touching reach of this creature.
God, I need to start rolling better. I rolled a 1.
Oh,
That's
wow.
a 2 for
Zero.
Kiri.
Good job, everybody!
Hey.
Goose eggs.
Wait, how did you do?
Me and Bill both got 0s.
Wow.
We
Okay.
had a grand champion. Oh, I think technically it's a 1 for me.
Okay. All right. Make sure to remember like any skill bonuses you guys get. I think that all of you, I think that in this case, Gavriel, you feel like a sudden tug at your heart as if to try to like pull you out of line. And I think it immediately directs all of your attention to her. And you find yourself, Gavriel, staring up into the 9-foot tall countenance of this silver-studded creature.
Is it like a lighthouse turning its like whole like spotlight just down on one person?
Oh yeah, it's
Jesus.
And you realize something very quickly, which is it takes a great deal of effort for this thing to move its head. It moves incredibly slowly. It's, what is the saying? It grinds slowly, but it grinds fine. So the idea is it kind of like almost just grindingly slow looks down at you.
Uh-oh.
And then it nods. And the gateway is open to all of you.
Gav just looks back at the rest of her companions and just is like, as she like walks backwards into the city.
And did that scan us all in?
I think, yeah, if you're part, like standing next to each other as like ostensibly part of a party to go in, it nods towards all of you in your general direction.
I think Kiri had all these sort of battle plans like starting to form in her head, and like she's strategically like, okay, maybe if we sneak behind that person, like it's line of sight, they won't see us. And then suddenly it's just like, no, go in. You got through the authorized way. Yeah, and she looks a little flustered at how easy that was, and then instantly a little suspicious. But then
I had all your tickets.
With it.
And you guys all find yourselves inside the gates of the city on the hill. And I need to change the music. Okay. So, all of you find yourselves inside the gates of the city. And it's kind of almost like being a part of a victory march home. As you walk through, it's kind of like every prototypically beautiful kind of like, it's Rivendell. It's every kind of like massive city that is kind of like treated as a paradise. It is this glorious expanse of beautifully crafted and carved buildings. There is no garbage in sight. The air smells sweet and just very kind of fresh and fragrant. And at the same time, in the air around you on and at the soles of your feet are all these lilac petals that are silver in color. And all throughout the air are flying these numerous butterflies, and some of which seem to be matched by silver artificial counterparts that fly in the air and mimic the movements of the actual living butterflies that seem to fly all around you. It's like fireflies in the middle of the night, but instead it's just the silver light glinting off of them in the middle of the day. It is
one flies down and lands on Duncan's nose and does it's wings slowly.
Yeah, and I think Duncan, of course, snaps forward and manages to eat this butterfly.
Oh no! And then Maurice looks around like, did anyone see that?
Yeah, and I think fortunately for Duncan, nobody seems to pay any heed, as it seems like there are finally people that are kind of like disseminating. However, there is that long kind of like line of pilgrims, and they are all moving with concerted purpose towards that that tower in the middle of the city, and others seem to be forking off. And I will say this, can everybody make me one more perception roll?
I got 0 again.
Oh boy.
5.
I was muted, but I said I'll put a Bene in this, and then I rolled a 9.
Okay. And what did you get, Kiri?
8.
Okay. So Okras, I think that as you're kind of like paying attention to the compass, I think your eyes turn up, and both you and I think Kiri clock at the same time a very kind of having nervous energy is not the appropriate way to describe this character, but he seems to be waiting and kind of like scanning the crowd. And you realize that it is scanning the crowd with a third eye, this kind of owl-headed creature with basically 2 large owl eyes staring back at you and a human third eye in the center of its forehead. And I think that all of you, it seems to be kind of like scanning for everybody, kind of like watching with a purpose. And you with your 5, Gavriel, I think that again, you're just kind of like taking everything in. But it's very strange feeling to know that this is ostensibly where those 77 creatures are from. It's a lot to take in a lot of ways. This is not just a pilgrimage or a reunion for you, it is a reunion for them.
I think internally, again, some of the conversations that I think Gav can have with some of the angels is not really a conversation per se, because we're all merged, but there's this idea that floats through whatever nether space that we're all housed in, is that question of, can I let you out? How do I separate you guys out? Do you want to leave?
And as you feel that notion, I am going to turn another card. Sorry, this is all very kind of like, okay. All right. The compelling voice. Its color is invisible. Control, domination, and persuasion. We've read this card before, so I will kind of quickly give you the divination. The domination or persuasion inherent in the compelling voice can be used both by and against the person in question. It can be a warning to beware honeyed words, or that someone you trust or interact with is actually being controlled by someone else. Alternatively, it can mean that you must use some persuasion to get what you want or need. An NPC uses influence over another to change a situation. An NPC listens to the PC's words and does as asked. An NPC listens to the words of another and does something that significantly works against the PC. We follow the voice, we are compelled by the words. So what is your intention when you kind of reach out to them? Are you suggesting it? Are you telling them? What do you do?
No, I'm suggesting the idea of, I don't think 77 individuals chose to be merged in my consciousness willingly.
Mm-hmm.
And this is me saying, is there a way for me to undo what's been done and, let you be your own individual selves again outside of me? Like, can you regain your bodies? Can I free you from this weird mishmash of consciousness?
Okay. You hear a voice inside of you.
Greetings. This is Odantiel, the angel of small kindnesses. You wish to do us a kindness?
I am assuming that you did not wish to be a part of me, and we are in your realm. Surely there must be a way to free you from wherever you are within this. And she's like gesturing to the halo, but I don't think she's having this conversation out loud.
Yeah.
So you're just seeing her make a bunch of hand signs.
Yeah, pardon me. Sorry, I responded in angel there for a moment.
You got to be fast on that on that vocal modulation button.
Yeah. And I think that there is a moment where this creature, this angel inside of you, Odantiel, seems to consider and says,
I think a great power would be necessary to separate us from you, but here in this realm, we may leave but for a short period of time, if that is what you truly wish.
Why are you asking me what I wish? I'm not your keeper or your master. We're unfortunately in this position together.
Gavriel, I want you to make me an interaction roll.
Okay. No bene in this, just straight. Lord. 4.
4? It's fine. Odantiel is not a high level angel. Odantiel, you realize, wants more than anything, above all things, to protect you.
Oh.
And it believes that it is protecting you even now. It is asking if that is truly what you wish, for it to leave and to kind of like be given this agency to do whatever it wants. And it thinks that it is asking you, will I be protecting you in doing this?
That is not the answer to the question that I asked. It is your life. It is your being that I am inquiring about, not myself. I will still be me when all is said and done, but you do not have your own form anymore. I'm asking if you would like me to figure out a way to get it back.
That would be gracious of you. In whatever time you should so find the opportunity.
All right. She's a little uncomfortable with the idea that the angels are like deferring to her as if she has any say. I mean, if there's one thing that Gav hates, it's the idea that like people do not have agency. So the idea that she's the arbiter of the individual's agency that are within her is very disconcerting, deeply unsettling.
And I think that might be kind of like might be a good question to hold on to.
Yeah.
But as if...
Yeah, I think...
Mm-hmm.
I was just gonna say, I think you can't hear the conversation that's happening, but you can definitely see that not distress, but I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for. I mean, concern probably just sort of flash across her features as like her eyes are probably like shifting really fast. You can tell she's either thinking about something, or I think at this point you've seen her have enough mental conversations with the angels that's probably what's happening, and whatever conversation she's having, it was not the one she expected to have.
Yeah. And I think at that point, when you conclude that conversation, that light that winks inside of you as the halo kind of spins and pulls, a larger mote exits out of the cavity. And you realize as it kind of effulges with this kind of yellowing, but very kind of bright but warm light, that light is Odontiel. And it seems to kind of, what it does is almost kind of circle and spiral around you and then kind of like float out in front of you as if it were like some sort of guiding light.
Oh my God, Tinkerbell. Oh my God, I have my own Tinkerbell. This is amazing.
Hey,
Listen! When I die, I automatically get 3 hearts back now, right?
Oh yeah, totally.
Okay, in this
That's
mode.
how that works.
Perfect. Yeah.
Perfect, yeah. Yeah, and I think who was also doing another action while this was happening? As I did make all of you roll.
We didn't deal with Okras and Marissa and Okras and Kiri and what they saw.
Okay. So Kiri, you had an 8. Okras, you had a 10. I will say this, with regard to kind of like what you have seen, that three-eyed owl-headed creature turns its attention as if like watching that mote of light spin out of Gavriel. It seems to have caught its attention, and it begins kind of moving hurriedly, very gently forward, gingerly almost. What do all of you do?
Okras is gonna put themselves in a position to yoink this person should they be approaching with ill intent. So I think it's like kind of just a sidle and a sidestep. So they're flank. I'm moving into a flanking position. God.
Okay. Fantastic.
God damn it. I'm fucking the worst. God, I hate.
And you very quickly just like hear as you are moving to the side, you hear this kind of creature look at you hear as it's looking at all of you. Greetings. I'm looking for a young woman with a friend to those who walk the path.
What's your name?
I am called a Carrion.
Okay. Yes. Correct. You're in the right place, the carry-on.
Maurice kind of crouches up. He was kind of admonishing Duncan for eating butterflies. Stands up and says, like, "Well, that was easy."
Yeah. At which point, I think that I think a Carrion looks to all of you. These hands kind of clasped together, very gingerly, very kind of like very simply. Just yes, I received a message from General Kazan. I am to meet you here and to guide you, I believe.
I would hope so.
You sound less sure than we do.
And none of us have been to this city before.
And there is a moment where he kind of like looks at all of you and just says, "Yes, I recall meeting the general, but I don't recall from where. So it's a very strange experience for both of us, I imagine."
Let's say that. Where are we supposed to be meeting?
Well, and this, I think that she mentioned the font of creativity, perhaps at the temple of Al Rustam. It really is at your discretion. I can quickly send a message. She didn't seem to specify a locale.
Wherever you think is going to be the safest to meet, then we will go.
And it looks to all of you kind of expectantly.
Maurice returns the expectant look.
And it looks and says, "Well, I will tell you a pleasant place for us to meet would be the font, but if you wish a safe place to go, then very clearly the Tower Temple, but perhaps the Palace of Queen Fregeleva in the... I'm sorry, this is such a strange experience. I don't quite know what to do."
Do you not often have dealings with those who walk the path?
No, but I know that I have. It's
Interesting magic.
It's befuddling. I'm usually called by goetics to other parts of the actuality. I had that same feeling when speaking to this person, but anyhow.
You can get us into the palace of the queen.
I can certainly speak to those that guard it, that is for certain.
Gav looks at everyone else. That might be the best bet, to go there, since we already need to have some form of an audience with her.
Yeah. This is all really easy so far. Is this not bothering anybody?
That's why I'd like to go to the queen.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Getting to the queen was supposed to be, I don't know, a challenge.
No, Carrion didn't say that they could actually get us in, just that they could speak to the guards, and at the very least, that's the only place that I've heard so far that actually has other beings there, rather than being taken to a location of which I know nothing about, that might not have anybody there at all.
Maurice turns to Carrion and says, "Hello? You don't happen to recognize me, do you?"
And that owl head seems to turn somewhat to the side and to look at you, and you then see its third eye sitting in the center of its forehead flash, looking at you, and then it says, "No, I'm afraid we haven't had the pleasure."
Maurice Webb. And he extends his tentacle hand.
And at that, when it stares down at the tentacle hand, it was reaching forward as if to grasp your hand in greeting, and then it draws back.
And Maurice says, "You wouldn't be the first." Says, "Maybe we can, on the way to seeing Queen Fregeleva," and he turns around like nodding at everybody, "maybe you can start by telling us what you do remember."
And I think there is a moment where he kind of considers the hand, looks back up at you, and then kind of like looks at the gate from where you came, and then says, "Very well. While we wait, I'm happy to take you to the Font of Creativity, and we can talk. As we walk, of course."
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, very well. And he begins kind of winding you through these kind of very broad, very nicely paved and polished streets. And as you kind of walk and take in all these kind of glass buildings and these just gleaming artifices, he says, "Well, it's strange to put a a name even to this figure, but I felt like I've talked to her many times before. I'm not sure how or why this is possible. Stranger things in the actuality. And as he's moving, there are just ranks of angels, groups, throngs moving aside one place to another. And unless you are focusing completely on this conversation, you are more than welcome to take in the sights with a perception roll.
I think Gav is kind of laser focused on where Carrion's taking them.
And as he's kind of like walking you through, you realize he's taking you off a very well-trodden path, or down a well-trodden path towards this kind of like font, where you realize which looks like a giant kind of like central square of this city, not very far from the tower that kind of sits in its shadow, if there is such a thing in this celestial place. And he is moving kind of like with a kind of like with a purpose, but it's like slow for the sake of all of you kind of like gathering, and says, so as you know, Goetics are known for the practice of colloquy. They end up calling angels, demons, other entities to take up service for them in exchange for greater favors. I, of course, always ask for beneficent deeds when someone asks of my service. But I have had this experience where with this person, I feel like I've done this many times, had many conversations, and yet it feels like if this is not the first conversation that I've had with her, then it is the first conversation in a very long time.
This is a question for Bill, not Maurice.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking about Shia Kazan, and he is an angel himself?
Yes.
Okay.
That is, I think, what the intent is. I believe, Gav, you had a question.
No, yeah, Gav was going to nudge Maurice and just sort of whisper, that might have something to do with whatever masking magic the unknowable angel has over the Pathwalkers.
Maurice nods and says, Okarian, you ever been to Indigo?
I think several times, yes. I have been asked by the Order of Goetia there for some matters of colloquy, I believe, of typically small matters. I'm not a very powerful angel. I'm mostly used as a guide, a kind of a purveyor of general knowledge, as it were.
Does it ever bother you to be asked without permission and have to go wherever you're summoned?
Well, that is in part how colloquy works. We are summoned by those who would know our true concept, our true names, as they were, and or we come to those willingly who make us a very enticing offer of service in exchange for service. Yes, you have a question.
This is actually a question for the GM. Once again, could you perhaps tell me, does Okras know how angels into being?
That is a very good question. Would you
You see, when a bell rings, that's when an angel gets his wings. Did you not watch It's a Wonderful Life?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, Okras.
Okras.
This is
You
a
made
crime.
me snort my tea, Bill. Thank you. I really needed some tea up my nose.
And I
I
think
wasn't expecting that.
it's never expected and yet always welcome. Go ahead and give me a non-traditional magical lore roll.
Oh, okay. Just a. When you say non-traditional, what do you mean?
It's like, I believe you have it's like kind of like esoteric lore. So I think you actually, as an apostate,
I have a level of magical lore.
Yeah.
Can I spend a hidden knowledge as well?
You may certainly do that.
And then I'll throw my dice on the ground, never to be caught again. That is a 6 plus 2, so 8.
All right. I will tell you this, with an 8, how are you employing hidden knowledge in this respect?
I think Okras is trying to scrounge, to dredge the deep places of their memories. Everything's a little bit scrambled. There's a lot that's missing, and a lot of things have faded with age and time and various instances and magical events that we're not going to get too deep into. But I think they're just digging deep.
All right. Because you are digging deep, I am going to draw a card. The Assassin, the adept of mysteries, rats, mirrors, and stone. Finesse, stealth, betrayal, and finality. We've had this card a few times. So, an NPC is murdered, an NPC is betrayed, something significant, a dynasty, a tradition, an organization comes to an end, something unexpected turns deadly, such as a bottle of wine turning to poison. The PC's use of skill and finesse or stealth overcomes extremely difficult odds. Something the PC does not like comes to an end. An NPC foe is betrayed by one of their own. The PC is betrayed by a trusted NPC. Something important to the PC comes to a surprising end. Dealing death is a magical art all its own. The assassin doesn't just bring death, he brings an ending. Endings can be welcome. The ending of something unwanted, for example. Or when it suggests betrayal, it might be a relationship that comes to an end. But when this card is turned, it can indeed foretell literal death or the threat of death. If this is the case, the death will come from an unexpected quarter. I think that this is a very interesting kind of pull, because I think that as you scrounge deep inside of you, there is a feeling of a connection, of a wellspring of knowledge that you can tap that gets very, very suddenly and inexplicably shut from you, as if looking through a window that somebody immediately closes.
I think this is the only thing that kind of comes out to the rest of the party. I think you see Okras kind of still standing off to the side, and there's just kind of an abrupt, sudden.
Yeah, all of you.
You know when you get water in your ears and it's deep in there, and you're just trying to give that little shake to try to dislodge it. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I think it kind of catches you by surprise, even insofar as like even kind of getting kind of people. I will tell you this, like all of you kind of catch this. Okarian immediately clocks this and sees, are you all right?
I'm fine.
And it seems to bite its tongue, as it were, at something. Anyhow, yes, to the font of creativity then.
I think Gav was watching Okras at that. I'm not sure what to make of what just happened there. But I think it's not it's like you see her watching you.
I think Okras just kind of sees that and just continues, kind of does the deliberately doesn't make eye contact thing, and is busy again mad dogging Okarian.
Okay.
God, I'm so sorry for my trash baby.
And as you are kind of like moving all of you together, Okarian is moving quickly by your side and seems to be kind of like hunched as he's moving with you, to the point where he says, is it strange that I feel like I should be quiet and secretive as I walk by you? Is that normal?
Depends on how obvious we're being. If people wanted to see us and do us harm, should we be more secretive?
Well, I don't think anybody who wants to visit harm upon any of you would be able to reach into the city at this point. I mean, we have the Secretan of the Ostiary guarding over the gateway.
Is that what was scanning everybody into the gates?
Yes, a valiant warrior indeed.
What exactly is it scanning for?
Those with ill intent towards the city.
The city?
Yes.
but not necessarily the people that are inside of it.
Well, I've not ever had to provoke or to analyze the abilities of the Secretan.
Well, you stick around with us, stranger things are bound to happen.
This is true. Why do I know that this is true? And I am
I don't
also...
know.
Anyhow, yes, but I think that anybody who wishes ill will upon the city or its inhabitants, you are fairly well protected by the Secretan, as far as I can tell.
I guess all the same, we could probably be a little bit more secretive, right?
If we wish to be more hidden, I have something that could help us as we walk. How inconspicuous would we like to be?
Okay.
She's just looking at all of you. I can cast the equivalent of sort of pass without a trace. It's collisionist raptor.
Nice.
Okay.
Only if by attempting to be less obvious, we become more noticeable. But no, I'm on board.
Well, you know, that is always the gamble, isn't it?
It is up to you. I do not understand why you would need any sort of, perhaps, secretiveness or furtive ability, but I will do my best to assist.
Indulge me. I think that just because there might be individuals that do not wish harm upon the city, since we are not residents of the city, nor are the individuals that we are going to meet, there might be a way to fool the guardian at the gates. So, Gav claps her hands together, and when she releases them, there is this black shadow of wings that unfurl first on strings from each fingertip until it fully releases. And then you see a small shadowy raptor bird hovering in the center very briefly before it expands in size, and we are obscured in a small area. So everybody kind of just, as long as we're all walking in the same, it doesn't give me exact ratios, it just says small area. So I'm going to say if we're all walking clumped together, we should be obscured from sight as long as the bird is directly above us.
Fascinating. And Acarian kind of looks up to take all of this in and says, so, yes, here, let us finish our sojourn. And he takes you to the Font of Creativity, this large central square. And there is a massive fountain in its center, and floating kind of above the water, but at the same time acting as a point from which it can kind of fill the pool underneath it. You see this kind of massive pool, and it is guarded on every side by a number of very tall, higher order angels. And there is a line of people just outside of the radius of the diameter of the pool at its center, this big globular pool, and they seem to be waiting their turn in line to sit and on kind of prayered, bowed knees, bringing a cup of or a handful of water to their mouths, whatever their mouths may resemble. And he says, yes, this is the Font of Creativity. It is a place where creators, writers, designers, inventors of all manner, they come to sup here a little bit of the primary river that feeds into the Silver Sun. It allows the tasting of completely new ideas, completely unknown to the actuality at their inception. It is oftentimes considered a good omen for those who wish to undertake a new project, to sup from the Font of Creativity. It's as great a place. It's usually where I take those that would be guided first to the city. It is on way to the palace of Queen Fergeleva, but I thought it was a good place for us to all stand and get our bearings as needed.
Why would we need to get our bearings if we're going to meet somebody?
I'm waiting for a message.
I see.
And at some point...
You just real quick, I just remembered. I did cast a spell.
Uh-huh. Let's turn that card.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okras looks actively nauseous.
Yeah, this is...
Because it's new creations.
Oh, here we go. The Whispering Lover. I don't think this is a card we've had in a very long time. Its color accentuates gray and it weakens indigo. It is vision, swans, blades, and water. Meanings: love, romance, partnership, loved ones, and relationships. Love represents the strongest of bonds, romance, family, and deep friendship. The intimacy inherent in the whispers of a lover is rare and valuable. We seek love, and once we have it, we fight to keep it. The Whispering Lover represents those people in our lives that are most important to us. It doesn't have to suggest romance. There are many kinds of positive relationships one can have in their life. The Whispering Lover always suggests a bond in place, or one that will form very soon, but it can be a positive one or a negative one, depending on the cards played. This might suggest that the relationship in question remains strong, ends, faces a challenge, and so on. This card turn essentially just brings the relationship into play. A relationship forms, NPCs fall in love. Two NPCs unexpectedly have an existing relationship. An NPC, due to their relationship with the PC, provides great help to the PC. That's the joy. An NPC rejects the PC or ends a relationship. Someone the PC loves is in danger. That's the despair. Moments with those we love are fleeting and yet carry the most power. And as if this moment, kind of like this precipitous moment arrives, one of the butterflies that is circling around these ever presently around these streets alights on the hand of Okarian, and alights on its finger, and Okarian brings the butterfly up to his face and seems to speak something to it very quietly, and then gently lets it go. And for those of you that have cast this spell, you recognize a message that has been delivered. And Okarian looks at all of you and says, well, I guess it's to the palace then. And he begins once again moving, but this time there is kind of like a certainty in the stride. There is kind of like this confidence that is in play, and he says, quickly follow behind me, and he begins moving. Around the central plaza, you continue to move, and in some distance away, I would say another few hundred, maybe 600 feet, you wind through a number of very broad avenues, and all of them seem to kind of lead toward this large semicircular palace. And as it kind of looms over the buildings of the streets as you move through them, larger than the other buildings preceding it. And as you kind of break into the avenue, into this next kind of central plaza, you see a semicircular building that around it are these beautiful crimson trees that stand out against the ivory and the silver of these glistening structures. And stationed at its exterior, around its perimeter, are once again these high-ranking angels, humanoid in shape, bearing holy weapons, standing vigil over those who would enter what looked to be a pair of gigantic doors in ivory. And not very far away are two figures of about average height, what appears to be a middle-aged woman and a bird-like avian creature to her right. They're gripping each other's hands very closely. The kind of one clawed hand of this avian creature clasping tightly, but not drawing or scraping skin, the forearm of this woman. And I think that as all of you emerge through this avenue, there is a moment where this kind of hooded woman looks up, and underneath the shade of this hood, you see a pair of searching eyes that seem to be taking in all of her surroundings, and then they alight on Gavriel. And there is that flicker, that moment, a confluence of emotions, of disbelief, of hope, of wonder, and finally, recognition. And that is where we're going to take our 10-minute break. Okay. So, you find yourself staring out at a woman who stares at you with recognition, besides this kind of avian bird-like creature, and both of them kind of stare at you, but it is your mother who realizes who stands some distance away from you. So my question to you, Gavriel, is what does your mother, Shia Kazan, do when she finally rests eyes on the child that she has never seen?
What does she do?
Yeah. Putting the ball in your court.
Oh, that's interesting. I think she waits to see what Gav is gonna do.
And
she's like never known me.
so what does Gav do?
Another great question. I think Gav feels frozen. I think she sees them. She knows from the war report that is Shia Kazan and that is Majuin. And she has this familiarity that comes from not herself and not her own memories of it, but through the memories and eyes of another person and their feelings about them, which is deeply disconcerting. And there's these are her parents. She knows this logically now. The evidence is completely irrefutable. But she still knows the parents that she had in the gray.
Yeah.
And there is this disconnect that exists there.
Okay.
And I think she stands there for a second and she doesn't turn her head. But I think she says fairly quietly, Maurice, what am I supposed to do now?
I don't have any answers for you, child. Forward. Always forward.
And she takes a step forward, then another one, and she walks slowly. And I think as she does it, she, with one hand, waves the raptor away, and it comes flying back to her shoulder before I think it sort of does that bird-like thing where it curls in for like scritches, but then disappears into the void in her chest as it is like resubsumed in that same fluid action as she continues to walk.
It's a very strange feeling because when you entered this plaza, you were covered by the kind of the illusion of this colliginous raptor, this spell, basically providing a means of cover for all of you. And yet, this woman recognized you through it, almost like she felt you coming. And the woman who is dressed in these kind of very surreptitious-looking robes, she raises the hood of it, and you see finally in the light of this silver sun, your mother's face. And my question to you also is, you remember seeing her through Mott's eyes in the war report, and now you are seeing her with your own. How has she changed in the time that has interceded?
I mean, there's the lines of somebody that's lived through a war, and in many regards is not yet out of that war. She is hiding in a world that is not her own. There's a reason they can't return, and I think it's weighed on her. But I think she's borne that with the same elegance that she has borne so many other hardships before. I think her hair might be going a little bit gray, and there's of course these but the lines on her face almost make it look more regal. And I think the eeriest part about it is that it looks like Gav 30 years later.
And but the difference being that she has this kind of long, very kind of well kempt hair, where instead you have feathers. And of course those feathers, as you look to her side, and that claw is gripping tightly her arm, again, not breaking the skin, not meaning to do harm, but is just gripping it. And I think that is when you see your father and you recognize again the colors of his feathers as they kind of match those of your scalp. And your father is looking at you, and I think that in this avenue, in this plaza, the light from the silver sun, even as brilliant and as kind of, I think, saturating and kind of comforting as it is, he still raises a hand, and it seems like the area around you, it grows slightly dimmer, as if to put more of a spotlight on you, and almost kind of to the detriment of your companions. You seem to shine as if you've been thrown in sharp relief. And not only that, the butterflies and their simulacra disappear from the sky as the only thing, and the sound goes dead of the kind of the din of the city around you, even as sparse as this avenue is, as you realize that your father has cast an illusion as if to get a deeper look at you, and to do the same, to give the same benefit to Shia. And as he holds this illusion, your mother lets go of his forearm and begins moving quickly to you. He is moving very gingerly behind her, keeping an eye out, but at the same time, making sure that he is not far behind her. And in a moment, do you think in this moment that your mother embraces you? Or does she wait?
I think she does. I don't think Gav returns it, though. I think she's too shocked by the whole affair.
And the embrace is something desperate, you realize. Almost as if she is afraid that you will disappear. And there is, I think she is speaking. You think she is speaking in Yiddish?
How would she know to do that? You tell me that.
Where does Yiddish is from the gray? Where does it come from?
You decide that one, Zach, because that's going to influence a couple of things.
So the thing about this is, the way I've kind of thought of the Pathwalkers is that they bear a very close similarity to this culture and to your culture in the gray, with, of course, very clear discrepancies and differences augmented by this circumstances of a magical world. But
No. I just think that No, all that's great, but I just think that Gav doesn't have any of that information.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. I think then what happens is, I will tell you this, she speaks a language that is not at all dissimilar from Yiddish. It's like the difference between hearing Cantonese and Mandarin.
Sure, there actually are two dialects, but I will nerd about that later in the chat if you want to know more.
Absolutely. And you hear her as she is speaking in this language. I didn't even remember you until several days. How could I forget? How could I ever forget this? And she just grips you so tightly.
I have so many questions. I don't understand why did you leave me? Where did you put me? I don't understand any of it.
And I think that at this point, she looks to, I think she looks at your companions. And she kind of like pushes you, back as if to like look you straight in the eye and said, I would never leave you if I had my choice. And then she sees the void in your chest and that halo that spins, and she feels something. And then she looks at your companions, and her eyes fix on Maurice.
Maurice goes beet red and eyes to the ground.
And I will tell you this, you don't need telepathy, you don't need to hear her say anything, but the look on her face as she looks at you asks the very pointed question, what did you do?
I didn't. There wasn't a good time. I didn't want to interrupt this moment or color it in any way. And he looks to Gav. Gav, there's something I need to tell you. Something I saw in the war report.
What did you see?
And Maurice looks at Kiri and Okras and takes a deep breath and says, at the very end of things, I, through Kieran's eyes, saw the Spider Prince. He is responsible for the combination of you and the angels. I don't know how or why. I don't know anything more than that, but I was responsible. To what end? I don't know. He looks back at Shia and Maduin and says, I wish I knew more. I understand that doesn't really matter right now. I'm sorry.
And I think Maduin kind of cocks his head at you, the way a bird looks, and cocks his head, and his eyes blink, and then the side lids blink as well, and kind of like as if to take you in, and then immediately he snaps back and looks at his wife and his daughter, and he puts his claws very gently on both of your forearms, and in your head you hear a very clear as a bell voice say, we should get inside the palace, someplace where we will have some cover, someplace far away from the street and the crowds.
Gav sort of like flinches back just a little bit. Just being touched by them is still a lot, but she signs in like the perfect Arabast sign language that she learned through watching Maduin teach Mott during the war. That's a good idea. And
I think that at that moment he kind of like does kind of start a little bit and then kind of nods. And he kind of like takes these two fingers and these two kind of claw-like fingers and motions all of you to follow him. Carrie, and looks kind of a little bit quizzically and kind of like apprehensively at everything, and then just and kind of shrugs and then continues moving towards the palace. And I am going to turn a card. Yeah, because I need to figure out something. The Forgotten Prisoner. The Apprentice of Mysteries, Rats, Mirrors, and Stone. Injustice, bad fortune, memory loss, something lost. Is there really such a thing as justice? The Forgotten Prisoner would say no. How long has he been there? We don't know, and neither does he. His dank cell is wrapped in gloom and lost deep in some dungeon or high above in a locked tower. His stomach cramps with hunger and his muscles ache from confinement. He has lost the world, and the world has lost him. As the Apprentice of Mysteries, he himself is a mystery. What is his identity? Why is he locked away? What crime, if any, did he commit? The Forgotten Prisoner most likely indicates that one has forgotten something vital, but it can also presage some coming injustice or just simply a bit of bad luck. It's not a happy moment to see this card turn. Someone is incarcerated, or something happens involving a prison. Something vital has been forgotten or lost. An NPC falls victim to a horrible injustice. Something terrible happens to an NPC foe. Someone forgets something the PC would like them not to remember. Someone of importance forgets the PC or an agreement they had with the character. Something terrible happens to the PC from sheer bad luck. They locked him away and forgot about him until he forgot about himself. So I will tell you what this is.
Yep, just go on.
Yeah. Which is that basically there is, as you feel something like clamp your chest, and you realize that it is something inside of you that desperately is trying to pull you away from this moment. And there is a desperation to it. And I think that at this point, okay.
Hit me with it, Zach. Come on.
All right. I need to change the music. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. All right. Let's see. What do we got here? Yeah. So, oh, even better. Let's try that one. Okay. So, as you feel that grip around your chest, you see something incredibly disconcerting. Which is, you see that mote of light that's been following you, Adontiel, begins to circle rapidly around you and begins floating in front of your chest, and you double over in pain before bending back. As reaching out of your chest, you see a claw like your father's reach out, and another one grab the side of the void in your chest and begin trying to pull itself out. This kind of figure that is basically kind of batting aside the halo inside of you as you recognize your uncle.
Yeah.
Beginning to try to pull itself out. However, because this is an apprentice card, I need to pull another card. I didn't pull a companion card, I should say. That is the one that I should have pulled. But I am going to see if somebody else notices.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I'm sorry. Is there a question?
How could it not be noticeable?
No.
Bends backwards, a burst of light, and a thing comes crawling
We're
out
going
of
to
my
full-blown-
friend's chest.
Yeah.
Exorcism.
The enveloping darkness, invisible. Meanings, restriction, loss, and endings. Darkness isn't an absence of light. Light is an absence of darkness. Darkness is the default. It moves in to fill any place the light abandons. The dark was the totality of the actuality before the suns existed. And according to many, the dark will be totality again once the suns are gone. The darkness is the end. It takes things, it takes us, it grabs, constricts, and overwhelms everything not warded by the light. All right. Something significant happens or will happen at night. An NPC dies. An important object is lost. People are trapped or otherwise are prevented from moving freely. Okay, so I think that there is a moment from inside of you where you feel a chorus beginning to build up inside of you, and for whatever reason, they are batted back by this thing. And once again, Odontiel, you see an explosion of light, as if to shine a ray of light on this creature. And you suddenly see that hand that was grasping the side reach out and grab Odontiel in an outstretched claw and squeeze.
Oh my god.
And
76 bottles of Angel on the wall.
And at which point,
Is there any way that I can try to wrest control of the situation? It's my body still. Like, I would like to forcibly shove this back into the void.
I will tell you this. We are entering into action mode.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
So, yeah. Gavriel, for obvious reasons, you are going to have the very first action.
Yep.
And then we're going to see what happens from there. Let me see if I can find something a little bit higher paced than this. Yeah. Let's try run. Okay. So what do you do?
Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know what's better, shoving Yakko back in or fully pulling him out so we could, like, fix him.
All right. What are you going to do? That is an option that's available to you.
I want to pull him out. I see the hand.
Okay.
I see the hand, and I'm just going to... He's still partially, like, part of the collective conscious, so I am wanting to sort of talk to him.
Uh-huh.
You know, I've been trying to contact him while we were back in Saturine for that month. We were there for a month.
Mm-hmm.
And with not a lot of success, but the intention was still there. So I think that I'm just going to be like, enough.
Okay.
If he wants to be with the rest of us, then come out.
All right. So it seems like you are making an interaction roll.
You could say that.
Or would you like to, yeah, let's say, go ahead and, I think that, how is this different from just letting this happen? Are you trying to direct it is my question.
I don't want him to, like, be, bending my spine backwards like this is, like, Exorcist. I want him to either, like, come out, we could subdue him, and then talk to him later, which I think is probably the way that this is going to go. I don't want him moving my body around or manipulating me in any way. Okay.
I will tell you this. Go ahead and give me a interaction roll.
Okay.
I'm going to say that your challenge is going to be a 7.
Sweet. I'm going to pop a... Can I do both sortilege and bending, or just one or the other?
It's one or the other, but you can apply a secret knowledge. Don't forget.
Hidden knowledge.
Hidden knowledge. That's what I meant to say.
Yes. Can I do hidden knowledge and bending?
Or sortilege, whichever you like. You can do both. You basically...
Hidden knowledge and sortilege coming at you.
Okay, roll 2 dice. See how you do.
Okay. 7 exactly on one dice, 6 on the other.
Okay. Awesome possum. All right, so what ends up happening? There is a moment where this thing is gripping the angel in its outstretched palm, and then it opens and flexes it, and you see something drop into the ground, and then you hear in your voice, you hear in a deep, horrifying, kind of bone-chilling voice inside your head, and it pulls itself forward gingerly at first, and then quickly it almost seems to leap out of you, and you see Jakob in its full kind of glory, as it were. This creature that very much resembles the Arabast that you fought. However, it seems to be darkened and twisted by magic. A helmet cracked in places where a baleful eye peers out. And you see Maduin immediately kind of step back, and I'm going to pull a card to see if he keeps his cool.
Because I'm not.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
This is great. This is a family reunion. This is how all of my family reunions end up.
Holy shit. This is another... Yeah.
Rip your uncle out of your chest and then fight him?
Is it really a party unless one of us has an exorcism that we pull out of our?
I
like,
mean, who
bodies?
hasn't been there after 3 beers?
I know, right?
The revealing knife. Its color is pale. It diminishes green. Meanings: revelation, discovery, and finesse. The revealing knife cuts everything. It slices through buildings or mountains as easily as paper or flesh. Anything that obfuscates what lies beyond or within is cut with precise strokes. We all long for such a tool to cut away the confusion and the lies, but we fear it as well. For what would such a knife slice away from us? What would it expose? The philosopher Timon Grain said, "We always assume that what lies beneath, buried deep, is what is real. But what if the truth is actually the outermost layer? What if the grandest secret in the world is that there are no secrets and everything is what it appears to be?" Most believe the revealing knife to be the counterpoint to Grain's idea. When the revealing knife's card is turned, it suggests that careful, precise action is required for what lies ahead. It indicates that there are secrets to be discovered, and whether their revelation is good or ill tiding is up to the individual concerned. When the card is turned, most assume that the next card played on the Path of Suns indicates the nature of the secret revealed by the knife. A secret is revealed, or at the very least, there is a secret that might be revealed. A challenge arises that requires finesse. Something is cut or severed. The PC discovers a vital secret. The PC uses finesse to succeed in an action they would have otherwise failed. A secret of the PC's is exposed. The PC learns a truth that hurts them. The blade carves away all that obscures, leaving truth exposed for all to see. I will say this. This is a truth that perhaps Maduin was not prepared to face, and it cuts deeply. I will say that this doesn't seem like necessarily bad for him, but he is holding his ground, looking his brother in the eye. What do you do? Actually, that was, I'm going to say this.
That was my turn.
That was your turn. That was also, I'm going to say, is Maduin's action. He seems to be holding an action of some sort. Let's go ahead and say, who was the closest to Gavriel?
I guess probably Maurice.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll go Maurice and then Okras and Kiri. Okay. So Maurice, what do you do?
Well, why did I volunteer to go first? Okay. I think from Maurice's perspective, he didn't get to see any of this happening when Gav's back was turned to him. And so now seeing this creature light out, frick.
Oh God, none of you know that this is her uncle. Oh God.
Yeah. I think
One fear.
I think he very reflexively spits off a defensive weave.
Okay.
And he weaves together the wind aggregate and the heart aggregate, the breath part of wind and the health part of heart. And what happens is at the beginning of everyone's turn, when they breathe in, they get, I don't know, a plus health thing.
Okay.
Can you do that?
Yeah. Do you, if you want, I will say they can take a physicality bene, or they can do, they can heal one wound. Or not one wound, but one injury.
I think that's great. On their turn, they breathe in a physicality bene.
Okay.
That's good.
Cool. All right. That is Maurice's turn. Okras, you're next.
From Okras's angle, they could see all of this.
It was unmistakable. You watched I think you probably turned back as you were moving towards the palace, and you just see this thing pull itself out of Gavriel, and it looks exactly like one of the things that you fought in the war.
Well, not exactly.
Oh, it looks like a more pissed off, darker version of the things that you fought in the war.
Okras does not know it's so. Actually, let me ask you a question. Does this outside of what they fought in the war, is there anything that would indicate that this creature is something other than an Arabast?
No, it is wearing one of the helmets that you remember the enemy used to wear, except it is cracked in a part where you can very clearly see this baleful kind of red bird-like eye.
Okay. There's no symbols, nothing like that would, under quick inspection, would. Okay.
I will say this: if you would like to inspect it, you may use your action to do that.
No, we're just gonna go ahead and do what we do best.
Okay.
Except in this situation, I think there is concern. Okras spins and strides forward in a way that seems to stutter.
Mm-hmm.
And if the camera was watching very closely, they would see what appears to be a fracture in the iris of their left eye, as I'm going to dump a whole fuck ton of points into rend time.
Okay.
As Okras steps forward, stutters, and is there grabbing at this creature's neck, and ripping it out of time for a moment along with themselves.
Okay, so just read for everybody that ability and describe what you're doing. Oh, you've already described it, but read that ability.
Yes. I will be using I'll be pumping a ton using Divine, the Divine Forte thingy.
You have divine ability? Yeah.
Yes. So it is a rend time. It is a level 4 +1 dice. I rend time from the actuality, and in doing so, hasten an enemy's end. I can use this ability to cancel an enemy's next action. Whether or not I succeed in doing so, my next action has +1 enhancement, and my enemy suffers -2 to their next action. The color is silver.
Awesome. Very nice. So you are in the middle of the Silver Sun. The level from, I believe, the card. No, it's pale. Never mind. So, okay, you are in the Silver Sun. Your power goes up. That spell is going to go up by 1. So what's the total level you've spent?
I'm going to dump 10. I believe the max I can get it up to is 14.
Yeah.
I'm going to dump 8 points into it to get it to 13.
Okay. So I will tell you this, easily enough, you reach and you pull this thing into a sub moment of time, pulling it out, and you feel the crack of reality behind it. At the same time, it loses its action. Gavriel, you lose your next action. You have -2 to your next action that you undertake.
Oh shit.
Do you need me to roll?
No, it exceeds the challenge. Yeah.
All right then.
I will say this, however, I would like you to make me a perception roll.
Put a bene into that.
Mm-hmm.
That is another 9.
Okay.
Apparently, if I just say I'll put a bene into it, I'll roll super well. That's great.
You see, literally, as you reach forward, you see Gavriel lurch as you pull this creature out, and you realize, and you see that same fracture seems to affect her.
All right.
Okay.
Wait, so is she also in the fragmented splinter of time?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Kiri, you're up.
Well, I don't think I can do anything if the target of spells has been pulled into
No, it's there.
a pocket of time.
It's there. It's just if you think about yourself, that you guys operate on one channel of magic and Okras operates on another channel of magic.
Yeah.
And so it's there. It's just kind of like a little bit fuzzy.
Yeah.
Like you're just a little bit off.
It's like a stun spell, effectively.
Yeah.
It's like you've reached into his future, it sounds like, and removed
and grabbed him. I've grabbed him in the future.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's strange. You see both this kind of like layering effect of both Gavriel and this creature.
Okay. So like I can still affect Jakob, like if I cast something.
Ostensibly, yes.
Okay. So I think in that case she will cast what she was going to cast, which is Baroth's Binding Grasp. Kiri remembers Jakob having emerged on several occasions before. She remembers the consequences of Jakob having emerged on several occasions before, and also what Jakob emerging has done to Gav, and sort of the state it leaves Gav in. So her instinct is control the situation. And so she is going to cast the spell. It's level 5 plus 1 die. A creature within short range is blinded and held in place until the spell depletes. It may still attack, just not change locations. Depletion is 0 to 3. Check each round. Color is gray.
Okay. So I will go ahead and tell you, go ahead and roll 2 dice. Your challenge is going to be, I believe with its resistances, it's going to be 9. So you need to roll 4 on 2 dice.
Okay. And that's a, interesting, 6 and a 7.
Okay. You feel as you reach out, you hold this creature in your controlling grasp, and then you see those similar tendrils almost kind of reflected being holding Gavriel in place.
I think when the second Kiri sees this, she kind of looks at Gav, and there's sort of an apologetic look, like as she realizes that there's a connection and in the effect of the magic. She kind of shoots her an apology via her eyes that holds the spell.
Awesome. One quick thing: do you let the spell go and use that part of your mind, or do you spend the sorcery?
I'll spend the sorcery.
Awesome. Do that. Okay. I will tell you this. Now it is General Kazan and the Angel Guardians of the palace go. The Guardians are going to begin moving forward, gripping very tightly these ceremonial weapons that seem to be like these. Some of them just look to be these very long, kind of like holy defender looking swords, basically blades of sunlight. And the very next thing that General Kazan does, what is General Kazan going to do? She typically, she is seeing this thing affecting her daughter. And she is seeing that whatever magical ability is visited upon it is visited upon her. Okay. I'm going to turn a card, see if there's anything she thinks of. This one goes on the Testament, and I'm going to change the map view real quick.
And point of order, we should probably draw one for Maurice's weave.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me go ahead and draw. This card goes on the Testament. This one is the Raven, the companion of Secrets, Ravens, Books, and Flame. Jealousy, Sight, and Trickery. Companion to the Secrets family, the Raven sees everything and tells nothing. The Raven is smarter and wiser than it ever lets on. Its intelligence, however, manifests in crafty solutions to problems. Some might use the word cheating, in fact. The Raven's weakness is greed and jealousy. It wants what you have, and that probably means your secrets. Can you keep them from its watchful eyes? Is it even worth trying? The Raven has both positive and negative connotations. In case that someone is watching, a jealous NPC takes action, an NPC turns out to be a con artist, an NPC notices or something or sees a solution to a problem. An NPC falls for the PC's deception. The PC sees something that they normally would have missed. An NPC reacts badly to the PC due to jealousy. An NPC ally falls for a trick. The sights seen by too many eyes of the Raven are beyond anyone else's ability to cope. So, okay. I think that General Kazan is a very clever woman. Let me go ahead and change this to the path, so you guys can see the cards. So I think that General Kazan is a very clever woman. She's very intelligent. She's also a very accomplished spellcaster and vislae herself. She can travel through all of the actuality at a whim, at a need. And instead what she's going to... okay. She sees that eye, and you hear her chanting to herself something which you recognize in her tongue, Gavriel, as you stand stock still, kind of like fully paralyzed by the actions of your companions. You hear her say, "The eye is a doorway unto the soul." And she reaches forward to where she sees that baleful eye, and you see her disappear from view. and has gone somewhere out of your ken. All right. So, angels are advancing. Gavriel, you lose your turn from this round. I will, however, give you an option to try to resist Baroth's binding grasp.
Okay. What do I do to resist that?
You may
Just make a resistance roll?
yeah, this is going to be, I think this is withstand, actually, because you've been paralyzed. This is just to see if you'll be able to take an action on your next turn
Gotcha.
that is more than attacking.
If it's against the level of the spell is level 5.
Okay. And you're going to need 2 successes to remove it. However,
so I'll need to spend a sortilege?
yeah, you would need to spend a sortilege.
Ooh, 7 and a 4.
Okay, not quite. So you feel, I think that you feel like one like binding piece of this magic fall off of you, but it manages to stay taut, holding the rest of you in place. So that unfortunately is your turn.
Can I talk at all? Nothing.
You may absolutely talk.
Okay. Is Jakob still in front of me, ostensibly?
Yeah, he's standing out from where he's bust out of you.
Yeah, I think she is just, if all she can do is talk to him, then she's going to, because she's so good at talking to people, it's just going to be like, Uncle, stop. This is enough. I know you now. We can help you. Let us help you.
I will say this. Normally you would have -2 on your next action from Okras's ability. However, you are going to have +3 to this because your mother has done something.
Oh shit. Mama.
Your mama. What are you going to do?
I don't know.
Actually, I'll tell you this.
I can't do anything.
Make me an interaction roll. Add
Okay.
add +1 to your venture, canceling out the -2.
Okay. That's a 9.
All right. So you say this, and there is that horrible bone-chilling voice now that it seems to be amplified. It says,
"Serve the many-faceted one. Protect the law."
and there is this moment where that logic falters. What was it? And
You call me uncle.
And I think there is this moment where he stands stock still, obviously from the moment in time that is fractured, but there's a kind of like this space in his mind. And you hear him suddenly shudder in pain as if he could, you hear kind of like an echo ringing out in this mind from this connection that both of you have. Okras, you're up.
All right.
Would it be me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That
Pardon
would
me.
be-
That
that'd
it
be
would be
Maurice.
Maurice. Sorry, lost track, guys.
So I'd like to use a forte ability that I haven't used yet, and Zach, I need your ruling on this. So I'd like to call object from metaphor, and the object I'd like to call forward is red tape, but I want this red tape to have metaphorical qualities of red tape.
Okay.
And when he summons it to his hands, he's going to start like pulling it out and
Mhm.
trying to ring around this to his intention is to slow down the angel guardians that
Okay.
he thinks might do something untoward.
Okay. The angel guardians each are level 8. The ones that are advancing on you, I will say that this is a group action. So how do you want to like? You can use, I believe, can you use Magnificent Endeavor for, not Magnificent, Expansive Endeavor for this, for 4-day ability?
Fortes, expensive endeavor for an action. So it looks like it could.
Yeah, go ahead. So you may use Expansive Endeavor. Your challenge is going to be 8. You're going to need, I will say this, with a group of them, you are going to need to hit it on 2 dice.
Could I use advanced sword wedge to add a 3rd die?
You may certainly do that.
Okay. Oh gosh.
Oh gosh.
What's my target?
Your target is 8 total.
And what am I allowed to spend? Like what pool?
I believe that this is, I think it's still sorcery. You can spend up to
4 for the forte.
Uh-huh.
All right, I'll just zero it out then.
Yep. All right.
So +2 to this, to all 3 of these rolls.
So +2. And what's the level of the forte ability? 4?
4.
Okay.
So it's actually +8.
+8. I mean, if it's +8, then your venture beats the challenge.
Right. So I'm spending 6 sorcery all day.
Yeah.
And then the 2 sword wedge. So
you just need to hit 2 twice. Oh wait, 2 twice.
Yeah, I do that. 2, 2, and 8 on the dice.
Okay. Describe what this looks like as you bar these angels.
I think like he's getting ready to like do some like painting in an apartment, just like putting tape on the wall, but like kind of on the ground, and like kind of like running and like biting it off the thing, and just like making a little like the ugliest protective circle you've ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think at this point, like the angels are beginning to move forward, striding, bringing the blades up to bear, as I think you're not sure how long this is going to last, but hopefully it buys you a minute. Okay. Next up, Okras, you have fractured time. You have +2 to your next action, and you get an enhancement, I believe.
Let me double check that. Yes, I have an enhancement. That is correct.
Okay.
Okay. I'm just gonna I think Okras steps back, seeing that this action also affected Gavriel, which was surprising even to them, and gonna use an action to refresh a pool.
Okay, awesome. That is your action. Kiri, you're up.
I think Kiri will continue holding this spell, keeping Jakob, mostly with the idea of keeping Jakob contained. And I think she will shout at the encroaching guard of angels that, like, we have this situation under control. Don't approach us. You'll only make things worse.
Make me an interaction roll. Your target is 8.
Ooh.
And
right.
I will say this: it will require 2 successes. Well, no, I was gonna say this is a regular talk. You're not trying to magically influence them, so just 1 success is fine.
Okay, so I will definitely add a Benet into this. That is an 8 on the dice, +1 is 9.
Okay, all right. You exceed the challenge. You see them continuing to advance, but they regard you. And I think that they are continuing to advance, but there is kind of an acknowledgement of what you have told them. So you don't know if they're going to stop. You don't know what they're going to do, but they have heard you. The next
rolled, by the way, I'll also rolled depletion. It was a 4, so it does not deplete.
Cool. Okay, so I am going to turn a card for that. Barros Binding Grasp. The Incriminating Skull. Color is gold and it weakens silver. Secrets, ravens, books and flame, disaster, discovery, evidence, connections, friends, and family. The skull is uncovered, revealing a long-buried wrong. It is evidence of a crime. However, the skull was once a person, and that person's family and friends miss them. They wonder what happened to them, and discovering the remains of the victim actually brings them some comfort and closure on the situation. The evidence that is uncovered might be the result of a long investigation, or it might be entirely accidental and inadvertent. It might be something that people have long searched for, or the remains of someone or something that no one even knew was missing. Last, it might be something that someone was trying to actively conceal, or it might just be the remains of some past event covered up only by time. The Incriminating Skull tells us that there's a deeper, darker meaning to the matter at hand. It presages failure, particularly being caught at wrongdoing. However, if the context is right, it might also simply indicate that a family, friend, or a relative, particularly one that has been long estranged, is involved in some way.
Shut up.
I gotta go toss some salt over my shoulder. I'll be right back.
Something that should have remained hidden becomes evident. A friendly NPC, particularly one with a bond to the PC, makes an appearance or something happens that suggests a connection with them. The Raven remembers your sins. And so I think it's appropriate. The idea, this image that is on the path is of a raven alighting on a dagger buried in a skull. And so almost kind of like reflecting that moment. This creature, your father, Maduin, approaches this creature at a clip, and then I think there's this moment of hesitation, and then seeing his wife disappear, seeing this struggle on the face of this creature, its eyes obscured, its beak kind of protruding from this horrifying mask, and this baleful eye poking out. He grabs with both claws either side of the mask and is going to attempt to rip it off. So that is your father's action. And we are back to the top of the round. Shaya's...
What's Shaya doing?
Let me pull a card for her. Okay. This one, okay. The Jackal, the nemesis of mysteries, rats, mirrors, and stone. Imitation, power, ruthlessness, dark magic, and necromancy. This intimidating fellow is a dread figure, to be certain. The Jackal represents everything Nons fear about vislae, threatening displays of destructive power, dark, soul-twisting spells, ruthless, unforgiving magic that taps into death, demons, and worse. Power for power's sake. He is selfish, megalomaniacal figure, willing to do whatever it takes to get what he wants. The Jackal is the nemesis of the Mysteries family. Many believe, however, that he is a literal being and not just a symbol on a card. Some believe all the royalty cards show real immortal beings. If he is real, he is some kind of diabolic figure that not only uses dark magic, but offers it to others willing to use his methods. While most see the Jackal as a dire omen of dark magic and ruthlessness, some embrace the power he represents. To be certain, this card turn can be a threat or it can be an offer. The person in question may want to take precautions against the effects of hexes or other dangerous magic, the intervention of demonic spirits, or simply an angry vislae. The Jackal can in some instances be equated to any figure in power, not just magical power or authority, but even then, usually only to a ruthless or intimidating figure. The Jackal bides his time, waiting to escort us into death personally. You see your mother suddenly appear in the space just outside of where she previously had been. You see that she is gripping her head in one hand and seems dazed. And you just hear in your voice again,
"Serve the lie. Protect the lie."
And you sense that whatever your mother was trying to do was met with terrifying resistance. Okay, so it's the top of the round. Gavriel, you have your action back. You are still bound by Baroth's binding grasp. What do you do?
I'm still bound, but I can cast spells.
Yeah.
Yes, you can't see and you're stuck. You have to stand still, but you can still take offensive action.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't see.
Yeah, that's part of it. It's blinding. I don't know if we're calling that part of the what's gone over. I know that Jakob can't see because Jakob was really the target of the spell.
Yeah. I will say, unfortunately, everything that has been visited upon Jakob has been visited upon Gavriel.
To me. That's fine. I don't need to see it in order to do this.
Okay.
I think she's still calling out to him. Just like, we know what the Vespertine have done to you, what they've done to all of our people, and we will stop them. But you must listen to me. And this is probably even an effort to break out, and I think maybe draw attention away from everyone else. She will cast Eye of Amanus.
Okay.
And it will be in the form of the feral, the turned Arabast. So she just snarls, like she can't see anything, but so she just sort of like flails her head around.
Mm-hmm.
sort of looking for him as she finishes speaking.
Yeah, I think as you do that, I will say this. You have lost that negative bonus, but you've also lost Shaya's bonus. So you've had both of these things cancel out. However, with the Eye of Amanus, you may take +1 on any attempt you have to interact.
Okay. Well, that is... I'm not going to attack him with it. I'm just using it to turn to shapeshift.
I totally understand. Yeah,
Cool,
absolutely
cool,
do
cool.
that.
So I'll do the interaction.
Cool. Oh no. What did you get?
No.
All right.
That's another 9.
Okay. All
So
right.
with that will be a 10.
What I'm hearing is that fate has really wants you to save your family. So
My ace dice, baby.
yeah, and I think that there is a moment where again that ferocity is but I think that ferocity meets your speech, but there's like kind of like an empty quality to it as you hear the metal of the helmet being bent open by your father. Okay. Maurice, you're up.
I think Maurice like has kind of finally finished the red tape thing and ran it, the spool is empty. And he moves to like position himself. Like actually let's describe like where people are standing. And like is this everyone's kind of clumped together in the center? Kiri, did you move forward to use your spell?
Yeah, Kiri has to be within short range of Jakob.
Got it. So I think Maurice kind of stays on the side of like where the Guardians would be coming from. I'm imagining kind of behind on Kazan and Maduan's side, and like gestures for Duncan to get over here and take some action to refresh a pool.
Okay. Duncan immediately is at your side. By the way, everybody make sure that you take 3 physicality bene for Maurice's weave.
Oh, it's just the one turn, because I think if my math is correct, if I would have to spend like 7 sorcery per turn to keep that up. So just the one.
Understood. Okay, just the one everybody got. Okay, so next up, Okras.
So here's a kind of meta question. Is there any way for Okras to define what is connecting Jakob to the lie?
That is a very good question. How would you like to try to discern that?
I'm trying to figure out what exactly that would be. I think there's like I can think of some things, but I guess the question is it magic? Is it a spell? Like is there any way to determine that? I guess that's more of a player question than a
I will tell you this. If you would like, you can try to use a Logivore ability. But it's going to be very experimental and it might endanger your current status.
Oh. Yeah, let's do it. All right. Let's roll them bones.
What are you doing, Zach?
So here's I believe your current range is 0 to 2 or 0 to 3, right?
I have the danger noodle zone written down in my handy dandy notebook.
Love it every time.
And currently it is the struggle bus zone. And the struggle bus zone is currently 0 to 2 with a difficulty of 5.
All right. So the difficulty and the range, I will tell you what, let's roll them bones, see what you got. What ability? Yeah.
Oh, so feed upon thoughts would be an option. Consume spell could potentially be an option. That is the extent of Okras's ability to control this currently.
Okay.
Or attempt to control this.
Make your choice.
I'm gonna use the I feel like consume spell makes more sense, since I'm not trying to find out what Jakob is thinking. Okras wants to know what is connecting Jakob to Gavriel, and to the lie, because that is what has piqued their interest, attention, and kind of, well, if we're being perfectly honest, malice.
Okay.
And
so you're,
that is a level 7 ability with +1 dice.
okay. So here's what I need you to do. I need you to roll those 2 dice. Your difficulty is going to be 9, so you need to get 2 on 2 dice. But here's the thing: I need you to add an experimental dice. I only care if you get a 0 on it, and then
We're using the bouncy purple boy.
Yeah, I will tell you this:
Swish.
if you do not succeed on this, it is going to hurt considerably.
Well, I did just refresh my whole sorcery pool, so why don't we go ahead and dump 5 more? Well, technically, I can pump an ability up to 17. The question is, does it get worse the more things I bump into it?
It's your choice.
Of moss.
Okay.
I'm gonna dump 10 points of wait, let me double check. I currently have can I use both physicality and sorcery to fuel a spell at the same time?
Yeah, because I think yeah, you have blood as power, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
17 points.
Okay. You are making this a 17-point spell. Okay.
Well,
all right.
a forte ability, but yes.
Okay, so I don't need you to roll. Because you've exceeded every possible challenge. But the thing is that I do need you to make a resistance roll to see if control flips.
How many dice is that? 1?
1. I think it's 1 die, and then the other thing is you can still spend sortilege. I still need you to roll an experimental die from the previous.
Okay. I'm rolling the experimental dice right now.
Mm-hmm.
That is an 8. On the experimental dice. So, and then I will spend a sortilege as well in the resistance.
All right.
I have 1 point in resist as well.
Okay, so you need to hit a 4 once.
How's a double 0 do, Zach?
Oof. Okay. I need to change the music.
Oh no.
All right.
The odds were so good.
All right. So here's the thing. Okay. You consume the spell. Can you tell me what exactly the spell text was for consume spell?
Like this is a bit of an abuse of a forte ability. Since it's a little bit more abstract. In this case, I'm not using my action to wait, but when someone casts a spell upon me while I wait, I'm more communing with the spell. I can consume the spell. I must succeed in an action with the spell's level as the challenge, and I must achieve 2 successes. If I do, the spell has no effect. I gain points to my sorcery pool equal to the level of the spell, and the caster loses the ability to cast the spell until the sun next rises. The color is invisible.
Okay.
This feels bad.
Okay. So, a couple things happen. You consume the spell. The helmet that was holding Jakob's head in this kind of like horrifying kind of darkness and corruption shatters underneath Maduin's hands. And you see almost like oil falling off of him, like off of a downed bird in a ecological disaster. It just, this kind of darkness and corruption begins sloughing off of him. And he makes eye contact with your father, Gavriel, before disappearing, and you see kind of like almost like this energy from which he kind of dissipates, and is dispersed, it returns back to your chest. However, the thing that was the more powerful spell was the kind of, it wasn't the corruption, it was the lie. And you feel a flash of something as it basically tears you apart, Okras. As this thing mentally seizes you, this lie that you know is at the heart of everything. And you hear a horrifying susurrus of scales as you feel something looking at you. Something very powerful, very large, from very far away. And reflexively, like a snake, it strikes. And you feel yourself on the verge of expiration. And once again, that coin flips in front of a hooded face. And the eyes behind the helmet turn from a baleful, not a baleful, but a glowing hot red to a vibrant green. And now, staring out of the mask, Twig, you have a moment where you recognize your compatriots and you have no idea how you got where you are. And we're going to deal with the aftermath of that in 2 weeks. All right. So let me kill the music right quick, guys. Guys, this has been a really great episode. I turned a card and good and bad shit happened, and I love that about this game. So we're gonna have ending at 7:30 tonight. So let's go ahead and do character recaps real quickly. Gavriel, character arcs, joy, despair.
Fuck. Well, we started the character arc. I have not finished it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, I don't know if this is a joy or a despair. It could go either way, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
But hear me out, because I'm leaning towards despair.
Okay.
Because all of this was confusing as fuck.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And I don't think it's a lot of complicated emotions, and I don't think we have yet to deal with them. It has not happened yet.
Things in this game are super surreal and really weird, and that is totally justifiable response to everything that just transpired.
I don't think it's about the surreality. I think it's about being confronted with her biological family that she was not raised by.
Yeah.
I think this is an entirely non-surreal confusion.
Cool. I love it. Okay. So count despair. Take 1 acumen for successfully reaching Jakob long enough to kind of like convince him of your position. What the ramifications are of that, we will find out. Maurice, joy, despair.
Kind of a toss-up, but I think I have to go with despair for not being able to tell Gav what he ought to have told her before, and the look on Shia's face. So even though there were some good parts to today, I think Maurice has taken an L.
Yeah, absolutely. Take 1 despair. Take 1 acumen, just to recall, for your actions, kind of holding back the angels long enough for this family conflict to take place. Moving over, Twig. Well, actually, should we say Okras or Twig?
That's a you question.
let's count it for Okras. Okras was there until the end.
Well, that was awful.
Now, what was that? Let no good deed go unpunished.
Look, I mean, what were the fucking... I had like really, really good odds of that not happening.
Yay, Twig's back, my friend.
All right. I love it.
I'm pretty sure Gav's the only one that's not going to be happy about this.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So Okras got a big old bundle of despair. And let's take one acumen for successfully consuming the spell that may have been too big for your stomach.
Yeah, that sucked.
Yeah. Okay. Kiri, joy, despair, character arcs.
Well. This is a question for you, Zach. Was there enough time in and of what just happened? Would Kiri have noticed the change from Okras to Twig? Because that will impact joy, despair.
I'll tell you what. Just off the cuff, roll a perception for Kiri.
I can do that. Hey, I think this is the first time we've had a roll in joy and despair. That's an 8.
Okay. I will say with an 8, even covered with the armor, you do notice where something very kind of like overwhelming happened to Okras Twig, and you saw a hint of the green eyes of Twig. So go ahead.
So I think Kiri gets joy from this. Despite everything else that happened this episode, I think this is an instant joy. I think Kiri, oddly, everything was almost too easy this episode. Like from the moment we just like got through the gate with like an automatic pass, we found the right person, by a fountain, and then suddenly, she has gone on this massive quest that she's kept hidden to everyone to try to find these god's tulips, to try to do the very thing that just happened of its own accord in front of her. And so it's kind of like this massive gift from the universe that like she didn't expect, or she thought she was going to have to fight like tooth and nail for this, and yet suddenly Twig is there and they're there just on the ground in front of her. And so I think she's totally shocked, but the emotion is definitely joy.
Excellent. Okay. I will say this. We will learn more as time goes on, I'm sure. Also, Okras, you had a point of order.
I have a point of order, yes. Okras's eyes are green. Twig's eyes did do some funky stuff prior to this, but are noticeably very red.
Pardon me. Okay. That's what I meant to say, everybody. We'll fix that in post. It'll be fine.
Don't worry. The color changing thing is a whole thing.
Was that you see the red eyes looking back at you. Okay. So guys, we've reached the end there. So shout outs and plugs. Marcy, if you want to start.
Hey, yeah, I'm going to do very brief shout outs. As you know, some of us are also here on Tuesdays for Flights of Fandom games, but just as an FYI for everyone, we are going to be dark this week. But don't worry, we'll be back next Tuesday with more of our Dune flight. Y'all should join us there. We've already had our first episode. You can catch it on the VOD still. It is shaping up to be an absolutely wild flight. So please join us for that. We will also start posting more info about what's coming up in December very soon. We'll start having some teasers up around Twitter and around our Discord. And you can still catch up on some other episodes on our YouTube channel.
Excellent. Moving down the overlay. Bill, shout outs, plugs.
Let's see. I just want to shout out my castmates and Zach. This was a fun episode. I'd like to plug the only science podcast out there, Bewilderments and Scientifics with Professor Scott Bugg. I'd also like to plug Some More News, which is now available as a podcast in addition to the YouTube show. So check those out.
Awesome possum. Hopper, shout outs and plugs.
Tis I, still me, still Hopper. Yeah, check out Flights of Fandom, just not this next week. And if you're craving a good fantasy RPG podcast, why don't you wander over to Encounter Party, where they have all sorts of amazing they have a really amazing edited live play TTRPG campaign set in the world of Ravnica with several seasons currently up. Check them out. They're awesome. It's super good. Everybody's mad professional, and they're like real cool.
Love it. Marissa, shout outs and plugs.
Just to echo what other folks have said, definitely show up not this week, but the week following for the Tuesday Flights of Fandom Dune stream. It is Josh's first DMing stream on the channel, so show up and show him some love. And everyone has been doing a fantastic job so far. I love the premise. I love everything about it, and I can't wait to see what happens next episode. And then I will also plug, the Fight with Spirit Kickstarter, which is the sports RPG, TTRPG that Storybrewers Role-Playing was kickstarting, has funded, so it is going to be made, huzzah. As well as some news on that front, the Love and Longing expansion deck for Good Society has now published. So I just got my copy this week. I believe that copies are available for purchase, although I will have to double check that. I am so excited to get into it, and who knows, maybe sometime in 2022 you'll see the Love and Longing deck here on stream.
Awesome, can't wait. So guys, for my own shout outs, I want to shout out to everybody who was watching this week. A really great number of people. Thanks for joining us. First off, to our regular watcher, Angel Citadel Josh. Angel Citadel runs a very cool Invisible Sun stream every other Sunday when we are not running. So that every Sunday is an Invisible Sunday, and called The Soul's Direction. It's a really great series. You guys should check it out. I saw Fesnarax the Fantastic earlier. We have Bing Cortana, Chloe Foresty, Dane Sky, D Koyag, Johnny Z80, Kitten Rescue, Mikashi 1, and Priest Wiz. And finally, not last but not least, but GM Jeff Stormer, who, as you guys know, is Jeff Stormer, who is responsible for a great number of fantastic games, one of which is Anyone Can Wear the Mask. Look for the YouTube Let's Play One Shot Up and Away coming up on Manapot Studios' YouTube pretty soon. That's going to be going live fairly soon in short order, along with Escape from Arkham and all kinds of stuff. In addition to that, he does a couple of really great podcasts in the form of All My Fantasy Children and Party of One podcasts. So check those out. Those are all fantastic. Can't wait to see what more you guys end up doing between Angel Citadel and Jeff Stormer. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. I have a bit of news, which is that we have 2 more episodes until we go dark on hiatus for about 6 weeks. We are going to basically play until the second half of December, and we're taking all of January off. I am going to be taking that extra time to also work on the podcast that we have been working on, as well as to send everybody some actually written recaps of all the crazy shit that's been happening. So that's going to be a good use of my time and a lot of fun. And I can't wait to get everybody all that info. So look for the podcast coming soon. Hopefully I'll have a lot to show. But the next 2 episodes are going to close out our pre-hiatus season thus far. And basically, one of those, I might be sounding like I'm coming out of a tin can, but I promise it'll be worth it, as I will be recording in a place not this. So until next time, guys, take care of yourselves. Take care of your loved ones. Thank you for joining us. Join us in 2 weeks again. And in the meantime, may the invisible sun shine on you all. Thank you and good night.